Genesis chapter 39.
פרק ל"ט.
Now Joseph, he had been brought down toward Egypt,
ויוסף הורד מצרימה,
and he bought him, Potiphar, officer of Pharaoh, commander of the guard.
ויקנהו פוטיפר סריס פרעה, שר הטבחים,
Man Egyptian, from hand of the Ishmaelites,
איש מצרי מיד הישמעאלים,
who they had brought down him toward there.
אשר הורידוהו שמה.
And he was, Yahweh, with Joseph.
ויהי אדוני את יוסף,
And he was, man, being successful.
ויהי איש מצליח,
And he was in house of master of him, the Egyptian.
ויהי בבית אדוניו המצרי.
And he saw, master of him, that Yahweh with him.
וירא אדוניו כי אדוני איתו,
And all that he doing, Yahweh making successful, in hand of him.
וכל אשר הוא עושה, אדוני מצליח בידו.
So he found Joseph favor in eyes of him.
וימצא יוסף חן בעיניו,
And he served him.
וישרת אותו,
And he appointed as superior him, over house of him.
ויפקידהו על ביתו,
And all of there was to him, he gave in hand of him.
וכל יש לו נתן בידו.
And he was, from that time, he had appointed as superior him, in house of him.
ויהי מאז הפקיד אותו בביתו,
And over all of that there was to him.
ועל כל אשר יש לו,
And he blessed Yahweh, house of the Egyptian, on account of Joseph.
ויברך אדוני את בית המצרי בגלל יוסף,
And he was blessing of Yahweh on all of that there was to him.
ויהי ברכת אדוני בכל אשר יש לו,
In the house and in the field.
בבית ובשדה.
So he left all of that to him in hand of Joseph.
ויעזוב כל אשר לו ביד יוסף,
And not he knew with him anything.
ולא ידע איתו מאומה.
But if the food that he eating,
כי אם הלחם אשר הוא אוכל,
now he was, Joseph, beautiful of form and beautiful of appearance.
ויהי יוסף יפה תואר ויפה מראה.
And he was, after the things these.
ויהי אחר הדברים האלה,
And she lifted up, wife of, master of him, eyes of her to Joseph.
ותישא אשת אדוניו את עיניה אל יוסף,
And she said, Lie with me.
ותאמר שכבה עמי.
But he refused, and he said to wife of master of him,
וימאן, ויאמר אל אשת אדוניו,
Behold, master of me, not he knows with me what in the house.
הן אדוני, לא ידע איתי מה בבית,
And all that there is to him he has put in hand of me.
וכל אשר יש לו נתן בידי.
Not him great in the house, this, more than me,
איננו גדול בבית הזה ממני,
and not he has kept back from me anything,
ולא חסך ממני מאומה.
except if you, because you, wife of him,
כי אם אותך באשר את אשתו,
then how I do the evil, the great, this, and I sin against God.
ואיך אעשה הרעה הגדולה הזאת, וחטאתי לאלוהים?
And he was as to speak her to Joseph day.
ויהי כדברה אל יוסף יום יום,
And not he listened to her,
ולא שמע אליה,
to lie beside her, to be with her.
לשכב אצלה, להיות עמה.
But he was as the day, this.
ויהי כהיום הזה,
And he went in toward the house to do work of him.
ויבוא הביתה לעשות מלאכתו.
And there was not man from men of the house there in the house.
ואין איש מאנשי הבית שם בבית.
And she seized him by garment of him to say, Lie with me.
ותתפסהו בבגדו לאמור, שכבה עמי.
But he left garment of him in hand of her,
ויעזוב בגדו בידה.
and he fled, and he went out toward the outside.
וינוס ויצא החוצה.
And he was as to see her, that he had left garment of him in hand of her, and he had fled toward the outside.
ויהי אותה כי עזב בגדו בידה. וינוס החוצה.
And she called to men of house of her, and she said to them to say,
ותקרא לאנשי ביתה ותאמר להם לאמור.
See, he has brought to us man, Hebrew, to laugh at us.
ראו, הביא לנו איש עברי לצחק.
He came in to me to lie with me.
בא אלי לשכב עמי.
And I cried with voice great.
ואקרא בקול גדול.
And he was as to hear him, that I lifted up voice of me, and I cried.
ויהי כשומעו, כי הרימותי קולי, ואקרא.
And he left garment of him beside me.
ויעזוב בגדו אצלי.
And he fled, and he went out toward the outside.
וינוס ויצא החוצה.
Then she set garment of him beside her,
ותנח בגדו אצלה.
until to come master of him, to house of him.
עד בוא אדוניו אל ביתו.
And she told to him, according to the words, these, to say,
ותדבר אליו כדברים האלה לאמור.
He came in to me, the servant, the Hebrew, whom you have brought to us.
בא אלי העבד העברי אשר הבאת לנו.
To laugh at me.
לצחק בי.
But he was as to lift up me, voice of me, and I cried.
ויהי כהרימי קולי ואקרא.
And he left garment of him beside me, and he fled toward the outside.
ויעזוב בגדו אצלי וינוס החוצה.
And he was as to hear master of him, words of wife of him, that she spoke to him, to say,
ויהי כשמוע אדוניו את דברי אשתו אשר דיברה אליו לאמור.
According to the words, these he did to me, servant of you.
כדברים האלה עשה לי עבדך.
And he was hot, nose of him.
וייחר אפו.
And he took master of Joseph, him.
ויקח אדוני יוסף אותו.
And he put him into house of the confinement,
ויתנהו אל בית הסוהר.
place of where one's being confined of the king, being confined.
מקום אשר אסירי המלך אסורים.
And he was there in house of the confinement.
ויהי שם בבית הסוהר.
But he was Yahweh with Joseph.
ויהי אדוני את יוסף.
And he showed to him steadfast love.
וית אליו חסד.
And he gave favor of him in eyes of chief of house of the confinement.
וייתן חינו בעיני שר בית הסוהר.
And he gave chief of house of the confinement in hand of Joseph.
וייתן שר בית הסוהר ביד יוסף.
All of the prisoners who in house of the confinement.
את כל האסירים אשר בבית הסוהר.
And all of what doing there he was doing.
ואת כל אשר עושים שם הוא היה עושה.
Not chief of house of the confinement looking after all of anything in hand of him, because Yahweh with him.
אין שר בית הסוהר רואה את כל מאומה בידו, באשר אדוני איתו,
and what he doing, Yahweh making successful.
ואשר הוא עושה, אדוני מצליח.